Signs of danger come in many different forms, some subtle, some blatant, most hard to recognize. A simple tightness in your chest that could be mistaken as soreness could be a warning that something terrible is going to happen. The worst part is, it's always vague and leaves much up to interpretation. This often leads people to ignore signs of impending doom. It's said that when something goes wrong, animals are the first ones to know. Consider your dog. The text suggests that something almost paranormal has happened, and even though this is a misinterpretation of the situation, this fits Stephen King's definition of terror perfectly. And the last and the worst one, terror. When you come home and knows everything you own has been taken away and replaced with an exact substitute. Terror isn't a natural phenomenon, but a result of some malicious being trying to mess with you. Now back to what this really is. Let's rewatch the video, but without the audio, to get a sense of what's really happening. Without the audio, all the animals appear to be incredibly frightened. The lack of movement of all of them, especially the dogs who are supposed to be the protectors, suggests that something potentially dangerous is out there. Something the owner has not yet recognized. The fact that all of them are completely frozen makes this even more intimidating. And that's on top of being out in pitch black. Anyone who's ever been out very late knows that sense of dread when everything is dark and quiet. The freezing of these animals suggests an apex predator is nearby. What that predator is a mystery. A similar occurrence that suggests the same situation is a sudden silence in the woods. Many examples of this can be seen in videos online.
Oh god, there's even more bones than last time. Looks like we've already passed it a while ago, but that tree is gone. It's just dark as hell in here. I'm probably gonna turn around soon. Oh, there's two ways. Holy crap, dude, this trail goes on forever. It just got really quiet really fast. That was my cue to leave.
These may not yet be discovered by humans, or they may be simple predators. Whatever it is, if the forest freezes, it's best to stay alert. Have you ever felt a sense of urgency, being unable to settle down, a desire to seek immediate medical care even though other symptoms don't warrant it? If you responded yes to any of these, you may have felt the true meaning of what impending doom is. Impending doom is more often used as a medical term, used to describe the way a person who's stressed out may feel. I use the term impending doom literally, as an approaching danger, though both are valid uses of the term. I don't know about you, but I find these warning signs morbidly interesting. Most of them are custom made to scare you away, or to make you think twice about entering, or even to show you the consequences of entering. They're inherently made to protect you, most of the time. Yet it's hard not to think of them as a threat. These signs can be put into two main categories: informative warnings and harsh realities. Harsh realities are the most effective ones in my opinion. Showing someone how terrible the fate will be upon entering is a pretty effective way of scaring someone off. Informative warnings are intended to make you think if you really want to enter or not, or the sign may assume you're going to enter, and warn you against being dumb. Most of these signs are made with good intentions, but some are a little more unclear. You can tell they are trying to warn you. Warn you about what? Though, to be fair, half of these signs are simple misinterpretations, and the other half are, well, art. Some others though are signs of a far distant danger though. calm winds, the dark, incoming clouds, a weird sense of serenity. The phrase calm before the storm didn't come from nowhere. If you live in an area that experiences heavy storms, you know very well this. Wildlife around you seems to be in some sort of hurry, and you hear thunder out in the distance as the storm approaches you. The odd calmness of the wind and booming of distant thunder is one way to tell a storm is coming. But I believe one sound encompasses the impending doom of a storm even better. Besides during tests, that sign is always a sign of bad news. It shares a similar goal with the warning signs earlier, to make you afraid and alert, ready to get into action. Though, sometimes these alarms have the reverse effect, making you freeze, shocked about what's going on. Depending on the situation, this could be devastating. A simple alarm could cause people to freeze during such situations. Now imagine if the alarm was distorted and messed with. Well, you don't have to imagine. TV broadcasts too.
The cars, plus factory to dealer incentives on all Jettas, Golf.
Hi, this is Dave Dahl reporting live from the KSTP Weather Services. The National Weather Service has now extended that tornado warning. There was a tornado reported just to the south and east of Prescott, Wisconsin, moving to the east, slightly north of east. So this tornado warning is out for all of Pierce and southern St. Croix County. This is out until about 8:30 tonight. And the cell that's involved here is just on the southeastern tip of Washington County. It's actually south into the eastern part of Dakota County, south and east.
These noises cause more of an unnerved feeling, rather than a feeling of alarm. An interesting and slightly disturbing fact about the first video is that the siren isn't broken. The sound that siren produced was intentional, called an alternate wail. The effectiveness of the alarm is questionable, but scariness is undeniable. The latter video is just as panic-inducing.
The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Western Hampton County in western Massachusetts, Western Hampshire County in western Massachusetts, including Northampton, until 9:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 8:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, National Weather...
Something about this alarm sounds so visceral. All of these alarms have been very evidently planned out, but I'm not sure about this one. Take a listen.
What we'll do.
This
is the Yukon Emergency Operations. We are under a severe tornado warning. Please take shelter to the inside part of your house. This is the Yukon Emergency Operations Shelter. We are under a tornado warning, and please take shelter in the center part of your house.
And nothing for an entire minute until this happens. Then this goes on for another minute, with no foreseeable end in sight. It's very obvious they weren't prepared for such an event, but I find it weird that they completely cut the broadcast to play static for minutes, and that noise at the start sounds like it's supposed to be in a horror movie. Such a noise is odd, but at the end of the day, the main goal of the alarm is to make you run. The universe always seems to have a way of sending you a message. Whether it's a weird feeling in your stomach, or not convenience, like a streetlight going out when you pass it. The legitimacy of gut feeling is questionable, even with how many personal anecdotes most people have of them. A lot of people cite their gut feeling saving their life, or preparing them for tragic news. I worked at a hospital, PRN, and frequently picked up extra shifts. I worked overnight, and I'd asked the supervisor to go ahead and put me down to work the next night. But as the night went on, I just felt really awful, like completely doomed. I never wanted so badly to be home. I lived an hour away from my job, so by morning, I called the supervisor and asked her to remove me from its schedule. So I went home, feeling unexplainably scared. By the time I woke up, I was getting calls that an EF5 tornado had hit the town I worked in, and the hospital I worked at. Not me, but my dad. My family and some of my parents' friends were supposed to go abroad to take part in a wedding. The day before we were supposed to go, my dad woke up after a nightmare, in full panic. I remember thinking it was scary to see a grown-up being so afraid of a nightmare, but it resulted in us not going. And I was so mad because I had been looking forward to it for ages and told all my friends at school about it, but Dad refused to go. It was the 20th of September, 1994. The country we were supposed to visit was Estonia, and the ferry we were supposed to be on sank that night. 852 people died. My dad later described that feeling as an alarm inside my body, shouting at me that this is wrong. It will not end well. Don't do it. The alarm was so strong it could not be ignored. It's not like a normal worry before you make a long trip. Not at all. One evening, in April 2007, I went out to play soccer with friends. Just before I left, my mother came back from seeing my grandparents, and she looked tired, a bit gaunt. Didn't sound in the best of spirits. She had suffered with depression and some troubles. I was worried for her. She died of a brain hemorrhage that evening. These signs of impending tragedy can be very unreliable. A simple weird feeling in your chest could foreshadow a terrible death, or nothing at the same time. Now, are gut feeling signs from the universe, or are they something else? It may be a subconscious noting of symptoms / strange occurrences that may relate to bad things. You could just not realize it. Like if you're driving, and your subconscious notes movement towards the road in your rear view, while you don't. And you end up stopping in time before hitting a deer, just because of your subconsciousness worrying. Though, some incidents are harder to explain using the subconscious theory. For now, it will be left up to the eye of the beholder. This is the last thing you want to hear. However, if you hear this, you might deserve it. This is the whistle of Silbon, a legend of a few countries in South America. The legend is described like this. The story always starts with a son killing his father. One version states that the son returning home one day found his father abusing his beautiful young wife. This so angered him that he killed his father. Another, more disconcerting version states that the son was a spoiled brat, whose every wish was catered to by his parents. One afternoon, he demands his father hunt for a deer, his favorite meat. But when the father does not find the deer, and returns empty-handed, his son kills him, and cuts out his heart and liver. He then has his mother cook them for dinner. The mother, finding this meat is tough, starts to suspect something amiss. She discovers these organs are her own husband's innards and curses her own son for eternity. At this point, most versions of the story become similar. The mother fetches a male relative, in most versions a grandfather, and he ties the son to a tree. He then whips him. He finishes by rubbing lemon or hot peppers into the son's wounds. The grandfather then unleashes a vicious dog and orders it to go after the grandson. This dog pursues his son relentlessly. His mother's curse transforms the son into a ghost. He is condemned to wander the plains, carrying a sack of bones on his back. The whistle of Silbon is very simple. It arrives from the musical note C to the musical note B. His whistling gave him the nickname, the Whistler, in many folk tales. Listen to these two sound bites and think of which one signifies you're in danger. The whistle of Silbon is similar to the screeches of a skinwalker, in a way. The farther away the sound, the closer they are. Pretty terrifying. However, if you hear that whistle near you, you might deserve it. It is said that Silbon only goes after womanizers and alcoholics, which seems to have a relation to his father in some way, depending on the version of the story, of course. There's something about whistling that's just weirdly beautiful though, which is why Silbon's whistle is so terrifying. It takes something calming, like whistling. It makes it sound like a warning, and it is a warning. It lets you know you've done something wrong. It lets you know that impending doom is approaching.